Henowitz. A couple of towns in this district, East Lyme and Waterford, and particularly Waterford, where we're at today, have large and diverse commercial and industrial tax bases. Meanwhile, another town in this district, an urban center, New London, is property tax starved, with little land to develop and a large number of untaxable nonprofit agencies. Is there anything more the legislature should be doing to make things more equitable? Mr. Henowitz.
So I do agree that some of the nonprofits act as corporations. They act as for-profit industries. And some of these nonprofits are, for most part, trying to game the system to then not have to pay anything in property tax. So I do believe that that needs to be addressed. I also believe that if the state was trying to allow the city of New London, for example, allow a land value assessment tax, that could try and help out the city in providing a better tax base.
Mr. Formica, and inequities we see with the property tax system between towns in your own district?
Well, yes, and specifically New London. I have said for my entire term that New London is the key to the renaissance of the southeastern Connecticut, the 20th district. And I think with the onset of the potential for the National Coast Guard Museum, we're already seeing an uptick in property transactions and real estate sales happening on Bank Street, State Street. I think what we have to do is to make sure that we help New London set that table so that the growth can happen in the commercial district, which will help increase the property tax revenue and also bring tourists to the area, which will increase business, which will increase sales and the economic activity in New London.
Mr. Henowitz, you'd have another 30 seconds on this topic if you choose.
Well, I agree with Paul that tourism will definitely help out the area, and definitely adding the Coast Guard Museum will be a benefit to the city of New London, to the region. I think that we have to be realistic as well of where, we do need a larger tax base. It's the fact of almost 50% of the city is non-taxable land, and that makes things very difficult, and that provides a very small margin of error in what goes on within the city of New London. So I think the state being able to help out with that would be a good thing.
Again, while we're on the same topic, if we get our time gives another minute to both our candidates before we move to another topic in question. I didn't hear it here. I thought I might. The mayor of Hartford has, with the problems his city is having, has proposed some kind of regional sharing of the burdens and the cost that an urban center faces, and maybe a minute each if we could hear from our two candidates, starting with Mr. Henowitz, as to whether you might be open at all to some kind of better sharing of the burden that the cities face by the larger community that surrounds them.
I mean, I think that the moving to regionalization is something that needs to be done within this state, even if it's in small part. I know that one of the things that I had advocated for previously was trying to come up with a uniform school calendar. That issue alone would actually help out with regionalizing bus transportation with education, which could actually impact our cities a lot in our rural areas as well. It's surprising at how small a thing of a statewide school calendar could actually help out.
Mr. Formica, and the proposal we've heard out of Hartford of some idea of some regional help for the cities.
Well, I think there's been a lot of talk of regionalization, over the last few sessions up at the legislature. I'm not familiar in particular with the Hartford suggestion, but they're certainly very close to having to have some kind of suggestion and solution there in Hartford. Here in New London, we have the opportunity to increase our port with the new Port Authority. We got the Tiger Grant to improve the rail line coming out of there, which should in turn allow goods and services to be moved throughout the region, encourage more freighters to come into the city pier. I think if we increased our Shoreline East capacity up to New London, and again, the Coast Guard Museum, development at Fort Trumbull, the number of apartments that are being considered, the number of commercial developments that are being considered, I think it'd be short-sighted at this point in time to move to a regional sharing for New London, because I think in a few years they're going to be very good with what they do, and there's going to be a lot of diverse activity, diverse property taxes, and a lot of stimulated economy in the city of New London.
All right, thank you. With that, we'll move to our next topic in question, and it's to Senator Formica from Tim Cotter.